Welcome into the Casual Gaming Conversation bonus episode. This week we are doing the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 review. And obviously this is going out to everybody rather than just being exclusive to Patreon because we have a very important review here, very exciting review. Shout out to Sandfall Interactive for the review code. Before we get into that, Nick, how we doing?
I'm doing well, Connor. This has been one that we've been waiting to discuss for a long time. Shout out to this team for getting us the codes when they did, because it's a longer game, and I've been able to sit on actually beating this one for a minute now. You rolled credits yesterday. I rolled credits a few days ago, and boy, oh boy, I'm excited to talk about this with you. This is one of those games that I think you and I differ on some things, but it's going to be a very interesting review. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. Connor, how you doing?
Doing good. We're shooting this after the soundtracks bracket that went fine, I guess.
Neither of us were happy at the end.
Yeah, I feel like, how does that happen?
No, not really.
Yeah,
I feel like no matter
what,
what, somebody gets their number one to win.
Yep, and you got WrestleMania tonight, which is exciting. Last of Us Part 2, or Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2 tonight.
That's going to be fun.
Well, you guys will know how that goes by the time you're watching this. I'm very intrigued to see where that episode goes. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Well, I'm currently doing Persona. If you're watching this now, that's pretty wild.
Nick is actively gearing up for the Persona stream that he will be currently on if you're watching this on Wednesday. But yeah, like you said, I'm really excited to just talk about this game. This has been the longest lead up we've ever had of playing a game. So it's very exciting to finally get to be able to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be a ton of fun. Where do we want to start? Do we like this is such a larger game than I feel like we review often. I feel like a lot of the time it's a 15 to 20 hour, sometime a 10-hour story. For some reason, Indiana Jones is coming to mind. This is like, there's so much to dive into here. Where do you want to begin with this one?
I think we start with the combat.
Holy
I think
hell.
that's the thing that a lot of people are going to point to on whether or not they're going to be interested in the game in the first place. So,
Well, this is going out for everyone, and it's going to go up when our review is. First, let's just do overall impressions.
Yeah.
Because I think that this game is amazing. 9 out of 10 for me. I think that this game is truly fantastic. It is currently my game of the year. I have not been able to stop singing the soundtrack all day long, and for the past week, I've not been able to stop thinking about the narrative that goes about in this game. I adore this game. I gave it a 9. I think that it's amazing. Connor, where are you at?
I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I think it is a game that gets the important things right, very right. And the flaws that it does have are kind of little small things that detract from that overall experience. From it being a 9, it gets me down to an 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great. And I think it's also my game of the year so far.
Really?
It's that or Avowed, and I could see Expedition being at the bottom of my list at the end of the year. I do not think it'll remain in the top 5 or anything.
I was talking to Jacob, who was also reviewing the game, and I was like trying to like figure this one out Goaty wise of like, where would this stand last year? And for me, I said number 7, which is an impressive spot to be over things like a Helldivers 2 or a Lost Crown. But then again, like those 6 above it were some of the most special things that I played last year. Overall, though, this game on that list would be the most unique game on that list. Like, it was just so freaking unique. I just can't. This game is just so interesting on what it's trying to do, and I truly just adore it. So yeah, you want to start with the combat?
Yeah, I'll start with the combat. I think this is going to be the thing that makes or breaks this game for a lot of people. And it really depends on where you're coming from for this game. If you're somebody who's only into action games and are totally turned off by turn-based games, like Jacob. Jacob hates turn-based stuff. Yep. And talking to him about it, he loves this game. And so hearing that, I'm like, okay, this is for people who like action games or whatever. I get that. If you're somebody who's into turn-based games like I am, I think there's some issues here where, like, this game is very much about parrying and dodging, and but also has turn-based combat outside of that. But when an enemy is attacking you, they'll have a chain of attacks that you have to press R1 to parry, to mitigate the damage completely, and gain ability points. And the thing that holds it back from being a great turn-based game for me specifically is that when gaining those ability points, they're essential for you to be able to do your skills, your attacks, and it's random on who the enemy is attacking in your party. So there's this level of RNG with it that I found a little bit frustrating at first, and being like, you can't really plan out like, okay, if the enemy does this, then I'll do this, and then I'll set this up, and then this next turn I'm going to do that. Sometimes when you get to the I'm going to do that, you don't have the ability points to do it because the enemy didn't attack you, and you're like, well, okay, like I just don't have the ability points for that, and that frustrated me at first. That was a big hurdle to get over for me. But once you get over the hurdle and accept the game for the fact that it's more about like in the moment and adapting to those different parries, and more about a timing thing rather than like a plan out overall
turn-based game,
experience. I think that it really starts to sing, especially later on, especially when you're getting hit a lot or getting like the enemies are doing a lot of attacks. You always have ability points to do stuff. So it's as long as you're hitting your parries, like every character eventually just started having ability points. I was like, okay, like that's fine. But those parries, dude.
Yeah. Can I hop in here?
Yeah.
Because you discussed the fact that this is not a perfect turn-based game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when we talk about parries and dodges in action-based games, things like a Black Myth Wukong, like a Stellar Blade, we're like, oh, the sound design is so good when you hit that parry. The dodge roll in a Black Myth, like, I think that that's the best part of that game. This game's sound design, when you do those maneuvers, are maybe perfect. Like, they are exactly what I want, where every single time I was hitting a parry, I was like, bang, bang, yeah. Like, it just worked with me. It was so good. And then the dodges are the same way. But not only do they sound good, the combat is so well balanced where, sure, you are worried about what you're going to do with your turn-based move in your attack moment. And when you're on attack and you like have to go and hit the perfect timings for your just general attacks, it was like, okay, after a certain time, you just land that rhythm real well. But when the enemy is attacking you and you have to hit those timing moments, the times that I would be playing this game and I was like, okay, I don't understand his or her or its moveset well enough, and I'm going to go and decide to dodge instead of try to hit those parries because the window is a little bit wider open in the dodge. The game tells you that. Is so well done where I'm in the middle of these combat sequences and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to parry this entire set, and I would go parry and I would fuck it up, and then I'm like, all right, time to dodge, like, because I'm not gonna be able to nail this at this point and I'm terrified. But like, it being so in the moment, it really does feel like you're in any action game. It feels like you are not playing a turn-based game anymore. And as somebody that is not the biggest turn-based fan, I do like turn-based games, but I'm not like the number one turn-based guy. I loved the aspect of this game that was so much more exciting. There was not a chance to go and put the phone down as I'm going and trying to set up pick my phone up as I'm trying to like set up my next move in a turn-based game, which would happen all the time when I'm playing something like older JRPG. This was always moving on to the next thing, trying to find that rhythm, trying to be in the pocket and hit those parries, hit those dodges, and they sound so damn good that it's addicting. You just have to keep on going on to the next enemy in the next battle. I think that the combat in this game, like you said, is not going to be for everyone. If you go into this and it's like, I'm going to have a turn-based experience, you will lose. Like, you need to be able to hit your dodges and parries to progress in this game. I really firmly believe that. But if you're hitting them, it feels amazing.
The best way I would put this, and this is going to be an adjustment for people and really kind of understanding this going into it, is this game is not Final Fantasy. It is Sekiro.
Yeah.
It is a parry game, which is what Sekiro is. It's all about, it's a rhythm game.
Yeah.
Essentially. And we talked about this. There's like sound cues with certain ones where you can like literally close your eyes and have headphones on and just like parry to the sound cue or whatever. And that helps sometimes or whatever.
Oh yeah. For me, I would not be able to go and beat this game without sound cues. And that's the other thing. Every enemy design, sound design of the enemies attacking you amplifies the combat so much in this title. It like, I just want to stick on sound design for a moment. Even outside of combat, the whole game just sounds gorgeous, and it tells the environment so well and tells the enemy so well. But like, I loved the sound design in this game. I think that it's up there with like some of the best sound design I've ever heard in any game ever, and it makes it so you can go in the combat and hit those parries and dodges because it is so essential. If they did not design this game well enough using these sounds, I think that this game would be probably too hard and be just a tough ride and probably not that fun, but the combat is so good because of the sound design that I was having a blast the entire time.
Yeah, it's addicting, that feeling of kind of being on a razor's edge with these parries, and it's like a Souls fight
Yeah.
where you go in and you get your teeth kicked by a certain string of attacks. You're like, I can't dodge this. I can't parry this. There's no shot. It's too fast. How am I ever going to learn this? And then all of a sudden you get the pattern down. You get the feel of the fight, just like in a Souls game, and you come out on top. And you also have those moments where you are low on health and you need to perfect parry something to completely mitigate all the damage, or you are going to die and have to redo a big boss fight, and you hit a perfect parry, you hit a perfect dodge, and you get that last attack off and win the fight. You throw the controller down, you go, fuck yes, and you get to move on with the story, and it feels amazing. It feels like a Souls game. So like I just really want to hammer home the idea that, like, I started in one area with this game with feeling a little bit frustrated that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I think that as the game went along, I ended up liking the way that the game is.
You not only accepted it for what it was, but after you accepted it, you were like, oh, what's here is awesome.
Yeah.
Like having those conversations with you, like where I was like, oh, like where are you at with this? Like, are you warming up to it? And like just without discussing exactly that, the issue of it not being a true turn-based. And even like you check out that first trailer that they showed at Xbox Showcase last year, when the first time that we got to see this, it was like, oh, there's a like timed action part of this game. It relies on it a lot more.
That's
but
the game.
Yeah, that is the game. Honestly though, like it is 100% the game. I would love to go and rewatch that trailer and see how much like times a menu pops up compared to how often they're showing the action moments, because like I honestly think off of memory there actually might have shown more of the action moments than things like menus popping up for this RPG experience. But they could have even hammered it home even more that no, this game really does rely on the action of hitting those parries and dodges.
I do want to say, with the different characters and their different like archetypes and their combat types, very diverse in how different each character is, what they can do, how you play them. I really enjoyed that quite a bit.
They're also, I think they do a great job of not only being unique amongst each other, but just unique when you're talking about JRPG turn-based characters. Like you don't have just like a true healer in the party. Like there's abilities to heal, but you don't have somebody that is designated to do exactly that. And what you do have is extremely interesting because everyone's a different, like I said, people can heal, but they also are able to do X, Y, or Z. And when you're planning out your attacks, because you still have to plan a little bit of when it comes to the turn-based aspect of this.
And I do think that opens up quite a bit as the game goes. So earlier on, I was like, there doesn't feel like there's enough strategy here. But then once you start unlocking certain abilities and certain different things you can do with these characters, it's like seeing that number go up, seeing that number go burr feels really satisfying to do this. And then, okay, as long as I have the ability points next turn, I'm going to be able to do this. And that will like quadruple my damage on this individual. I was like, that feels really good.
And it does, especially, and then when you go and combine and have those moments, like there's an ability to heal that like you need to go and like perfectly time out also. So it's not just a press, you do still have a live quick time event. And like going and hitting that so many times, you get just so used to it. But then when you fail that for some reason, like you get distracted. There was one time, I kid you not, a bird distracted me outside flying by, and I just like missed a basic thing, and I was like, oh damn, it sucks to not see the number be as high as it normally is. And I'm like, the numbers in this game too are so like well designed, of like when it is a critical type hit, it is a different color and it's a little bit larger of a number. You're like, like I did something with this. And that for me sings very true to your traditional turn-based game.
It does have this aspect too, where I do think that the like descriptions of what you can do with each attack can be a little bit overwhelming. Like it's the attack description, and then it's like, well, if you have this will be more powerful or whatever, and it's different for each character, but that's like the basic gist of it. Did you notice like the text for the attack would be yellow if it's like, okay, this is the one you should probably do or whatever. Yeah. So like it does help guide you there. But it's not always the right choice. I wasn't always doing that. Or anything.
Yeah, it's not always the right choice, but it also like, and sometimes you would go against the grain of what it's trying to tell you to do. And what you would do would outsmart the game because it's a little bit short-sighted sometimes. It's like, do this immediately, but it's a decent choice right now, but it might not be the home run play that you're looking for down the line. And so there is a large amount of strategy when it comes to the combat, but it's not metaphor. You're not hopping in and it's all about just strategizing your combat and thinking about the different ways to attack this fight. At a certain point, with almost all these fights, you got to get good.
Yes.
Like, you cannot beat this game without you can't out-strategize the game. You do need to hit your parries and you need to hit your dodges. And also deciding which one of those two things to do changes depending on how good you were getting at those boss fights.
So I was parrying everything at first and was only going for that. And then once enemies started hitting harder and I couldn't get like it down, like the parry down always, I would start to dodge a little bit more. And it's like, oh, I kind of like that there's different options here or whatever, depending on how skilled you are. But you should be trying to go for the parry because you get ability points for it. I just started only going for a parry again.
You were just dialing in the
I was
parries.
like, there was some attacks where I was like, I can't figure this out. I was like, why am I getting hit? And I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start dodging. And you would have a little more of a window. So yeah, I would start doing that, but like I was trying to parry constantly. And dude, it does feel amazing. Because you can if it's like a 6-string attack, you can get 5 of them and miss one and you don't get the counter attack, which can do massive damage in some instances, especially if it's like all your characters or your whole party is getting hit. You get all 3 of them to do a counter attack at once if you hit all of the parries, and getting that and getting all 6 of them and getting that massive amount of damage feels fucking amazing, dude. It feels so good.
And the sound design of the counter, terrific. The slow down, it just sounds so fucking good, dude. Like, oh my gosh. I think that this is going to be one of those games that might convince me to force us to have the best game mechanic thing in the co-op awards later this year, just to discuss certain game mechanics within this. And the parry in this game might be my favorite mechanic this year thus far.
Yeah.
Like, it is so good.
Talking to you about this is making me want to play it more. Just being like, oh, this sounds like maybe I'll go back and do some more of the endgame stuff. When it comes to combat adjacent stuff, let's talk about leveling, RPG mechanics. This is my biggest hang up on the game. This is the thing that's bringing it down from like a 9 to a 10 from a 9 to an 8.
No, Connor, speak your truth. It's a 10. You love this fucking game. No.
There is this thing called pictos in the game, which are like little modifiers. They showed it during the Xbox Developer Direct when they were doing that breakdown, and I remember sitting there being like, no, that does not seem fun to me. Like, there was hundreds of modifiers for each character, and you could slot 3 in for each of them. And I'm like, I don't really want to spend my time in the menu reading through all of these and trying to min-max things and figure all this out. And then early on in the game, when I'm experiencing it, I'm like, I don't really feel like any of this is anything that I want. And I don't know how much of a difference it's making. But when you get later in the game, these pictos like start to really sing, and you can really start kind of breaking the game open with them. But I do think that pictos are just a total miss outside of that, where I'm like, I almost wish it wasn't in the game. Or I wish that you could like press a button to just automate it at the very least and then adjust, like optimize me. You know what I mean?
For me, I think that they're actually pretty well designed, where for me some of these abilities were super basic and there's a lot of them, but I was often looking for, because of the descriptions of certain attacks, being like, okay, I need a burn modifier to go and be able to even do this attack to get a chance at a critical hit, something like that. And it's like, okay, all of a sudden I'm going to use a picto that it gives me 20% chance of burning on a shot. And so, like, I'm in these battles, and because I chose that picto and because I use one of my points to go and shoot at the start of the turn, and all of a sudden it inflicts burn, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, that's exactly what I needed. Or sometimes I would take the gamble on that ability in particular and rattle off a few shots, and it wouldn't burn. And I was like, oh, that give and take is so good. Yeah. And I liked those types of small improvements that you get early in the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this aspect of the game. I don't think it's like an overt negative or anything. I just personally found it extremely overwhelming. Not what I want out of an RPG personally. I understand that like a lot of people enjoy that level of customization. But for me, I'm just like,
It
it just
is.
turned me away. I would resist going into that menu until I had gotten a bunch of new pictos, and then I was like, okay, now I can like really kind of change what I'm doing here and really feel the effect of it. Because otherwise, I didn't feel like I was getting like changing one out every single time I got one. It's like I'm not doing that.
I also did not change up my lineup of pictos every single time I got a new one. When I picked one up and it was like, oh, that I need that. Like then I would, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, I got like 4 more before this. Like yeah, I was like, oh, what do those things do? But yeah, it was very much overwhelming. I think it's almost like a fact. Like they give you a ton,
Yeah.
like throughout this game, and you're able to go and like just like find some in these environments, and some of these like dungeons where if you go off the beaten path, you might pick one up, but often you would not feel super rewarded for picking it up because it was so small. And then even when that one was added into your overarching lineup, part of me kind of wishes that like I could like put them into a folder, some of them, and because I'm like, I'm never using that ever. But now I just have a screen of 50 of these things.
Exactly.
And sometimes I'm like, I don't even remember which one I need to go and upgrade my character.
And there's also ones that feel like they're like made for speed running that you get midway through the game where it's like you'll take double the damage, but you get like double the AP or the attack points or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not skilled at this game or whatever. Like, so I'm not touching that. And it's like, why would you put that on? And I felt like a lot of them were there.
Yeah,
like
there was a good chunk that was about like if you get hit. Yeah, there are a lot of trade off and stuff like that. And then there was, I believe this one's pretty early in the game. It's like if you do get hit, you get AP, and it's just like, are you just saying I suck right now? Like what up with that? And then I was like, I do. I'm gonna put that on my character. No, but like. Yeah, I think that they are in general a bit overwhelming. Do you want to transition to the next RPG part of this, which is just like
the leveling?
Leveling.
So there's like ability points that you get that can then be put onto your character's might, vitality, defense, luck, agility.
The fact that you got that correct is pretty wild to me, just because of how little I cared about it in general, like what I'm even looking at. So.
That's the thing. If you didn't care about it, and I personally didn't really care about it either, it should have just been you level up and it puts the stats in for you.
It should have been that. I did start to try to focus up a little bit more with certain characters, where I was like, okay, I'm using your basic attack pretty often. I need to get that might up quite a bit. This character is dying way too often. I need to get their health up a bit more. But in general, I kind of wish that it just like the tide rose with all of them properly.
Yeah.
And when I'm at the end of the game, I'm not with a certain character dying more often because I didn't put enough points in there early on. It's like if you just were able to properly scale this and just tell me what to do in this situation, it would have been, I think, a better experience. With that being said, I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there that love the ability to customize and just have that option. But even then, I'm like, this might be one of those experiences of don't put the keys in my hand. Just go in, let me hop in the Uber and you drive myself.
Right. So I don't think that this is necessarily like a really big negative at all. It's just something that I was like, I don't even know why this is here. Where I same with Pictos early on, but this throughout the entire game, I know the number is going up because I'm hitting harder eventually. I just don't feel like you get 3 ability points every single time you level up. Putting 2 into might and 1 into vitality, I wasn't like, oh, I feel stronger now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I know I am technically, but it isn't. It's one of those games where you're going up to 9999 with you're doing hundreds of damage every single time. So like those changes, like you can't see it immediately in the numbers because it's such a big number anyways that like it's not like you're going from 10 to 12 and you're like, oh, that's a big difference. It's like you're going to 150 to 197 and it's like, okay, like I don't know that if that's that big of a difference, but clearly it eventually will be. But those are my 2 main negatives.
This is something that I'm curious to see if you still have this annoyance with the game, because it's something you brought up and I was like, I kind of get that, especially a little bit early on. When you get into, and I want to sort of lead this into the discussion about the world of this game, you don't get a map when you were dungeon crawling.
Oh, I forgot to mention that in the negatives. Yeah. That stopped being an issue for me.
I think
later.
that it's it is not an issue in this game except for like one area because it is so linear
Yeah.
in nature that they do a good enough job of pointing you in the right direction. And if you get lost, it's sort of on you. But in general, still, there should be a map that is either in the corner or and like just has like a north direction of like just go this way. But also part of me just loves the lack of UI in this game in general
Yeah.
when you're exploring, and
That's funny.
it's so dang good. I do think it gets better throughout the game. Early
That was
on,
such a
there's
big issue for me
Yeah.
early in the game, and I completely forgot about it by the end.
and
That
I
it was
think
even
that-
an issue because, like you said, it straightens out and gets you kind of on that on the right path.
it even
way
later
easier.
on, you still are able to go off the beaten path and pick up a picto or find an enemy that isn't clearly in the way.
But it's always funneling you.
It
yeah.
does a great job of still being like there was a certain path I went down like 30-ish% of the way through the game, and I go out there and I pick up there's like some money that you can buy, and there's a store and stuff like that for certain abilities and stuff. But I go and I pick up the money and I turn around and I'm like, okay, there's like two ways to go, and it like loops you literally like right back to the very start of that area, and then you sets it out on the main path again. I'm like, I'm so thankful that I wasn't bogged down by UI in that moment, that it felt a little bit more natural, and I as the player knew this is me going off the beaten path, and I just need to go back to here to get to the yellow brick road.
Yeah. And then once you're in those environments, dude, like this game looks ridiculous.
It is insane how good this game looks.
And it's so creative with the different environments too. I'm like, how'd you even fucking come up with this? Like
Yeah.
this, like in a world where there's hundreds and hundreds of video games, it's like nothing looks like Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
I think that is something I didn't say in our short form, and I really wish I banged the drum on more, is this is one of the most unique games I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like I think just in general, not even just world design, but, and we'll hop back into that in a moment, but the whole crux of this game is it is just unique. Like between character dynamics, world design, combat, like there is just nothing on the market that feels like this. And some people are not going to mess with that aspect when it comes to the combat. And I could see somebody, I brought this up, like the world is beautiful, yes, but there's certain like polished moments in this game that I'm like, that kind of takes me out of the immersion aspect just a little bit. But like, dang, like the world design is not only gorgeous, but like excellent. Like I creative, intriguing, just so fucking good. So good.
Yeah. And then the enemy design, these freakos are freaking, dude.
Top notch.
There is a ton of diversity in number of enemies. None of them look similar. They're all cool to look at. They all have unique aspects to them that makes each fight different and each fight unique. I think that this is like probably the crowning achievement of this game, and that's talking about the smaller fights. Some of these boss fights are fucking insane, dude. Like just otherworldly, massive. Like some of the biggest scale boss fights I think I've ever experienced in a video game. Period. So cool to fight something where your character is this tiny thing towering below this enemy and having to go up against them and take them on. Feels amazing, feels epic. The music is swelling and all of this, or absolutely shredding. It's so good. I think that when it comes to enemy design, I don't know if like it's top of class. Period.
It is, yeah, it's top of class. It's unbelievable. The enemies throughout this game, coming off of South of Midnight, where you are facing the same thing over and over again, I felt like a cleansing of the creative palette to be like, holy hell, how the hell do you think of this thing and this thing and that thing? And it's just like, I don't know, but you did it, and it's fucking cool. Like this is something that I would show art students of like, hey, this is what a video game villain can be, and they're just like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, I don't know, but somebody thought of it. Like it's so creative, outside the box. And then some of the enemies are like normal, just standing up enemies, and then some of them are floating, and that shoot ability that I brought up earlier, the realization of like, oh wait, they're not on the ground right now, I should go and shoot them or find a weak point and stuff like that. Just even having that small difference throughout general fights that you're going through, and a lot of them are just like smaller type enemies. super fucking cool, super awesome, and everything's well designed. Like, the whole reason that I keep on going and bringing up that this game is amazing and is hitting that terminology for me compared to something like a great is there's so much first in class shit here, like valedictorian level stuff. And I think that the bosses are just one of those things.
Yeah. Real quick before we get off of too far away from combat, I want to say, and it's related to the boss fights and the enemies, like, I think this game is very finely tuned when it comes to difficulty. Like, it's hard. It's not crazy difficult or anything, but like it's punishing.
I think I struggled a little bit more than you at certain points. But like I always was excited to get back to it.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool place to be. I was never frustrated with the combat. If I died, it was on me.
Yeah.
And when you bring up the fact that this is a game that's more akin to a Sekiro than a Final Fantasy or even a Persona, I love the fact that when we're talking about From Software's polish, it's on the player. It's never on the boss.
Yeah.
And in this game, it is very much on the player if you die. It's never on the boss.
And like, it can feel insurmountable at some points when you go into a boss fight and you're like, how the fuck am I going to dodge that? How the fuck am I going to parry that? And then you do it, and you get better, and then you get better, and you're like, God damn, I've overcome this, and it feels very satisfying.
It's the Sekiro, Dark Souls loop that keeps you coming back for more. And I'm like, yeah, sign me the fuck up. This game is very much a me type game where like I love my action games, and experiencing a lot of the JRPG nuances that come with a lot of the best in that field. It is blended up really well in this game, and the result is terrific.
Where do we want to go next? Story?
Yeah, I think let's hop into the narrative a bit. We don't want to spoil anything. This is not a spoiler cast. We will do a spoiler cast for this game eventually. But narratively, we both literally wrote down in our notes the same thing. Take some huge narrative swings.
Yes.
And I was about all of them. Like, I think that the narrative in this game is pretty fucking awesome.
I think it's all very interesting.
Yeah. And it just like, if you saw that first trailer and you were like, oh, like I'm intrigued by this world and like the general premise of this expedition going out and trying to stop it from the countdown being even lower, and they are Expedition 33 and all this stuff. Like, if you're signed up for that, you're going to be signed up for the rest of the game, in my opinion. I think it does a great job telling this story. And I do think that like some of the themes it goes down and explores are extremely interesting. I really do appreciate the narrative in this game. I don't want to spoil anything narratively, but I think that the narrative overall is pretty amazing, and I will be thinking about it for the entire year at least.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to chew on here. I think that there's going to be theories and discussions and everything of how this story unfolds, and people digging into different aspects of it that I think is going to be really fun to see those discussions happen. I really did love this story, and I think that a lot of it works. Most of it works. There's some small things that I'm like,
I agree that there's some things in the story that do not on a first playthrough work. And this is one of those that like, am I going to have the time to go back through this game this year? Probably not. But like, gosh, I'm definitely going to love talking to people about this. Hey, did you see this, that, or the next thing? Like, and just have those discussions. What did you think about this? Like, this game has that level of narrative to it that it is worthwhile to have those discussions after the fact.
And the hook is amazing. Of you're an expedition, you're going out because every single year the number gets lower, and everybody at that age, so 34 was the number that was up there. Everybody at 34 dies. Now at 33, right?
Yep.
It's that in 33. If you're 33 until they write 32, then you're dead or whatever. And trying to stop that from happening. Very good hook. Very interesting. Very unique.
And if you're like, that's good and unique and cool, the gas does not stop.
Yeah.
It's just pedal to the metal the whole time.
So I think that the overarching plot, we both agree, excellent. You and I disagree a little bit on the characters.
I use the terminology great. And I do think that the characters in this game are great. They're interesting. I'm about this cast. One of the big sells of this game is the voice cast is redonkulous. The voice cast is redonkulous. Like, they are
very well performed.
Very well performed across the board. But when it comes to the narrative choices, I think that it's great. The biggest issue that I have using the word great when I'm talking about characters in a game that is, I know that this is not a JRPG, but like when I think about JRPGs, that then the cast that you can have, it doesn't like simply compare to something that you would see in a Final Fantasy game, like even FF16. I love that that's a great mix between action combat and phenomenal cast and characters. And it's like, we're not getting to that level by any means, but
Yeah.
what is here is great. I do think that like character wise, they are really, really solid across the entire cast. And as you go and add more people in and new dynamics, I often notice I was really enjoying the dynamics that we're building between everyone in the crew.
I like all of this cast. I didn't fall in love with anybody, and that's really kind of the biggest disappointment for me when it comes to the characters. I find them interesting or cool or whatever, but like I never was like, these are awesome characters. And I think that they try to make them deeper in these specific character moments. That this game has persona stuff where you can go talk to your party and grow your relationship. And I did not feel like I got a ton out of those moments that really moved the needle for me. That's where I was hoping you would get more, and it just didn't really sing for me. So I don't think the characters detract from the experience by any means, but I don't think that they add very much. So.
There is a polish thing in this game that I forgot to bring up, but it is in my general thoughts when it comes to the fact that this game is not like perfectly polished. And I think that if this team was able to get feedback like this, that certain things will be included. When you go and you're at your camp and you're trying to build up your relationships and everything, it does not tell you who still has an available conversation.
Yeah.
So every single time I'm going up to this character and they're saying the same dialogue, but then sometimes at the end the dialogue just ends, but sometimes at the end it's like, hey, let's go and have the next story beat of the of this relationship. And it's like, so every single time I'm doing this, I would go and like, for example, if it's I'm talking to one character and they have a story beat, I'm like, cool. I have to roll the dice compared to like, it's just like all they need to do is have like a pause menu that's like, hey, this there's a upgrade that can happen with this relationship. Go and do it. That not being there not being a symbol over your companion's head, being like, there's still an available thing. I'm like, that's just odd to me. Like, it doesn't make sense that it's not there, and it should be there. And I wasted probably not a lot of time, but I probably wasted like 10 to 15 minutes of all in by having to go back and have these conversations that were often useless. And they're saying this exact same thing that they just said. And I'm just like, what are we doing there? That was legitimately at a certain point. I was like, all right, like, I'm going with this character. Let's see. And if it was there and there was another narrative beat, I was like, damn, it would have been nice to know that it was going to be there anyways. And if there wasn't, I was like, ah, shit, like, that was just a waste of 20 seconds, but the amount of times that I would do that, it can add up for sure.
And then the music.
All-timer. There is nothing like this. This is, I've not been able to stop singing, humming, just, it has been so deeply inside my head for the past, like, we started playing this a couple of weeks ago and everything. Like, even immediately, I was like, holy shit, this game's gas when it comes to music. I think one of the trailers like has some of the music cues of just like some main theme stuff and everything, and I'm like, I remember being impressed initially by that, and then the way that like these themes grow, character themes, like that's the other thing. This game has great character themes also in it. I was just so into it, all of it. The way that there's areas that have certain music cues and stuff like that. And then we already brought it up in the boss fights. It is holy shit level sometimes with the boss fights of how epic some of the tracks that are laid underneath these combat sequences. Like I'm somebody that often uses hyperbole when it comes to discussing video games in general. Every now and then there's a joke of, Nick says greatest of all time for a lot of stuff. This is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. It's really funny. We're coming off of shooting the soundtracks bracket, and I was like, with Connor, I was like, this could win a round or two with this fucking bracket, and we're talking about the best soundtracks ever. Like, I think that this is top class, some of the best shit ever. I don't think it's like the GOAT, but I'm like, this is so impressive. I would be shocked if there's something that comes out this year that is better. I mean, Doom is known for very great soundtracks, and we'll see where that ends up. And I'm just thinking about what's later this year.
Yeah.
But like
Ghost, maybe
Ghost, like, but like this is just so unbelievable, and it's so unique, and it captures so well what is happening on screen with the music. I think that between sound design and music, I'm like, this game really deserves to win some serious ass awards in general. Like, blue ribbon on the music. Like, it is so damn good. Do you have any thoughts? I'm sorry, I just yapped it up a lot on the
I
music.
think the music's great. All timer. I don't know if I'm in that same boat as you, but I think it's the amount of music here and the breadth of music is very impressive. There is like a bunch of different genres here, and there isn't like a main battle theme. There's like a ton of different battle themes, and
they're all excellent,
and they're all great, and like it runs the gamut from genre to genre. Like there's a ton of great tunes in here, and it always plays the right one at the right time. So I think the music's great in this game. Definitely one of the highlights. I like I said, just kind of in summary, I think that this game is great, has so many aspects that I think are fucking fantastic, has some small aspects that kind of add up that take away from the experience for me. But overall, I think it's an easy recommend. And we got to talk about Game Pass, $50.
Yeah.
Studio's first big game. Go and support this, guys.
This is one that
new IP.
We're in a world that Nintendo games just got announced to be $80.
Yeah.
Like, let's have that conversation real quick. This could easily be a $70 title.
Oh, sorry. The end game content.
Oh yeah,
there's a ton of end game content. Like I have so much stuff to do left. I think, at least presumably, and it's difficult. Like, it's really hard.
Yeah. If you want it, it's out there. For me, I counted up my hours. This game does, in my opinion, I don't know why this is the case, but a lot of games do this, where your in-game clock doesn't count when you die to a boss. So like, if you took a boss fight and you took an hour on it and then you beat it in 5 minutes, it only adds up that 5 minutes for you.
Yeah.
I think it took me about 33 to 35 hours to roll credits.
I think it took me like 28 hours.
Yeah. Well, once again, I think Connor's legitimately better than me at this game. Like, oh, you must be. Like, because you were just there were the amount of times I was like, this boss took me a lot of tries. You're like, piece of cake. I was
2
like,
tries.
God damn. Yeah, good for you. But yeah, no, the amount of content after the fact is just ridiculous. There's so much within this game, and also, like I said, there are other paths that we both didn't probably go down, that we didn't see necessarily, of just when you're going throughout these environments.
Optional bosses.
There's
so much shit, dude.
There's so much out there, and it's all really good. Like Connor was saying, as I was talking about the combat, you're like, I kind of just want to hop back in. It's like, the nice part is there's more stuff to hop back into, and not like just okay, I'm gonna go and play it from the beginning again. Like, there's nice stuff to be able to go and hop into, and like, I don't know, I think that this game is just, the amount of content here alone there's games that are shorter and less good than this that cost a lot more.
Yeah,
that's the hard part with this one.
I don't know why they're charging $50 for it.
Yeah,
it makes no fucking sense.
The line that I heard dropped was they want to get it out to as many people as possible. And it's like, great. And I hope Xbox is, the fact that it's on Game Pass, I'm like, I don't know what that deal was, but like, holy shit, the fact that so many people are gonna hop in on Game Pass with that day one, like, we both are at a recommend, obviously. Like, we recommend this title. It's great. It's amazing for me. This is currently my GOTY, and it's like, when Connor and I like went back and forth, this is one of those examples where it's like favorite versus best. Like, I think that this is like one of my faves. I don't think it's one of the best games I've played ever. I don't think it's like that, but like, I just love so much of what is here. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to more people about this.
Me too.
This one, Connor and I were going back and forth of like, the hardest part for me was I was a little bit faster paced on getting through this one than Connor, just due to the nature of being able to play it during the day at times. And
I had to play Split Fiction last week.
Connor was doing that for the spoiler cast. It's like, but that meant that like he was texting me about Xbox or Storybeat, and I'm just like, I had to sit alone with my thoughts, and it's nice to be able to talk to you about this, but like also, I can't wait to talk to the community about this one. I can't wait to go and watch YouTube videos about this. I'm so curious to see how this. There's a line in the show One Tree Hill where there's a guy directing a movie, and he's like, the goal is, let's go and make someone's favorite movie.
Mhm.
I think that this team made somebody's favorite game. Like, it's not my favorite game, but I think that there's somebody out there that's like, this is what I fucking want from video games. And that's really cool and really impressive, especially from a team's first time at bat. Easy recommend.
Yeah. So shout out to them and go support this team. Go support new IP. I want more stuff like this. Love a sequel to this.
I would just want to see what they can do with hopefully more money and more polish.
Yeah, I guess by sequel I mean like another thing in this structure. You know what I mean? Like,
if they're able to do, we talk about championing a game like Split Fiction where it's like no loot boxes, the friend pass, all this awesome shit.
Yeah,
it's like this being. It does not make sense that it's $50. I know that we said that a couple times, but it's like, I don't know. There's no reason for it to be $50.
Yeah.
This is 100% a fully, between the hours debate and quality debate, it is both there in spades. So why is this game $50? I don't know, but rock and roll. I mean, like it's going to be a great way for a lot of people to pick it up in Game Pass Day 1, 2, and all that. Like, I don't know. This game's special.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation, which is made possible by our lovely supporters over on Patreon. The members of the highest tier get their name read at the end of each and every podcast. Members like Apathetic Titan,
JC Falcon,
Frozen Crushes,
Jaxie T,
Sconzi,
Cherry Sentry,
DQ Lonzer,
Gamers Glade,
Tyler D,
Scooterman,
Dinkelberg Rules,
Senshuro,
Hook'em Horns,
Go Nash,
Neutral Sphere,
Charlie W,
Easton C,
Stooby Dooby Doo,
Nuke This Kingdom,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
JC,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Big Mac,
Metal Nate,
The Patty Cake,
Bear Pog,
Yogi,
Damn,
Holden M,
Colin C,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex W,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Jesse F,
Drifter X1 Skirt,
Presto,
Maverick,
Goops,
JMappy3,
Ali Benali,
Michael.
and Vorpal Matt. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.